Welcome to Jackal DIY and Tech. This will be a DIY video. And this is a section of the door. And what I have to fix is this cabling, more specifically the switches for the windows. Now this is the driver side. It has two buttons, one for the driver side window and the passenger one. And on the other side I also have to fix the passenger window. Now these switches are shot. They do not work as intended. So what I did is I bought these universal switches. They have 5 pins. These specific ones, the outside, these are the grounds. The middle one, this one is the plus. And then you have the motor power for up and down. Which one's up, which one is down? That's up to you on how you wire them. In this case, when you press this button, this pin is active, so this one. And when you press this button, this pin is active. Now this specific model of the car is the Lanus 1.5, I think the year is 2001. And it's a bit of annoying because the cabling is not as easy to figure out. Now there is wiring diagram online, but not really for this switch. This one only has 7 active pins. So what I've done is I took out my trusty multimeter. Now the first thing that you want to do is, if you don't know which one is the positive or the negative, you will give contact in the ignition, and usually the black wire is the negative. So this is what I've done. It could also be the blue one, who knows, maybe even something else. And basically you will go over all of the wires until the voltmeter reads 12 volts, and then you will know which wire is the positive one. Now if it reads minus 12 volts, that means that the probes that you have connected to need to be reversed. Now since this is split in this way, I figured out that this section is probably for the driver side window and the right one for the passenger side window. But then we have this middle one, and this middle one is also the positive, and this one goes to the passenger side window. Is it visible in this way? So we have a white, yellow, 2 gray, and a blue wire. Now I will show you on this connector. This plugs in this case the middle pin in the bottom. This one is the positive, and it goes from this middle gray wire. This is the positive. The bottom pins on the left and right, these are the pins that control the switch on the passenger side. So this is the switch, bare bones. It's also faulty, so I'll have to replace it. And then we have 2 pins on the top. These are the pins that come from this side. So we have the white wire and this gray one. Which one is which? For the up and down, well, I will have to test it out. But these pins on the left side were connected together, and so were these pins on the right side. So those pins do have to be connected together, but what this switch doesn't have is the ground. But that's okay, because everything is connected to this main board, and this board does have the ground, so that's okay. Now all I have to do is put everything together somehow and make it work. I won't show you the whole process, but I will put up the schematic of how I'll connect the wires, and also I can show you a prototype. In this case I have cut out a hole where the previous switch was. You'll have to see how it will look like for you, because not all of them are the same, and just make a cutout where you want the new switch to be. Welcome back. It's been a couple of days. I made it work halfway. The driver side now works, as you will see. So these are the switches in, all connected. So I got rid of the previous connector, which is this one. Whoops, which is this one. So it had 7 pins, and it has a lot more pins, because in this car you could also have switches in this place where I have them now. So these switches, and these switches would control the windows in the back. In any case, once I have marked all of the wires, I have simply connected them up, and this now works. Let me just give the ignition. And maybe open the door so we can actually see something, because the lens is, well, not suited for close-ups. So this is on, and let me just close this so you can see, hopefully. The switches also have a faint light. This one's red, maybe they also have other colors, who knows, but this one has red LEDs inside. When it's sunny, you most likely won't be able to see this, but at the moment it is visible. So now this will be the action for the driver side. As you can see, it works, and this is the passenger side. And as you could see, that also works. However, there is always a but. You see all of this? Well, I had some issues, and this was with the passenger side. And at the moment, this is not connected at all. Now the issue with the passenger side that I have is that the wires are only positive, and 2 for window up and 2 for window down, but no negative terminal that this switch expects. So what I have done previously is I have basically just touched the metal part inside the door, and the electricity got cut off. So no more 12 volts here, and on the driver side, so I actually couldn't use the window. And since I'm not a mechanic, I had no idea what was wrong. I did check the relays and the fuses. So let me pop the hood. So if you pop the hood, you should see something like this. These are the relays and some fuses. Now you should see something maybe in the back, otherwise in the front. In this case, the relay for the power window is this one. So that would be this one. I took it out and nothing happened. I also took out the fuse puller, which is here in this case, and I took out a bunch of fuses, and those are inside the cover. In this case, they are down here. This is covered up. I also took this out. Fuses are here, and the one that I had to pull was... So these are the two fuses, 10 amps for the power window in this case. I pulled these two out. Well, actually I pulled all of them out, and nothing fixed the issue. What did fix the issue is that I took this plastic cover off, which also covers all of these connectors. Now the power on the driver side window has an orange color wire, so this is the first connector that I pulled out in hopes that this would fix the issue. It did not. I then took this connector out, also didn't fix the issue, and lastly I took this one out, which is smaller but also has an orange wire, and this did fix the issue because this connector has a huge ass red wire, which I think is the main wire that comes from the car battery, and that reset the car, because once I put the connector back in, I heard a clicking sound, and when I turned the car on, I also saw the lights on the driver side switches. Now the only thing that I have to do, other than put everything back in, is to wire the passenger side switch like it should be, so connecting the two negative terminals to maybe the car door and ground it firmly, or use the existing connector on the driver side door. Now when it comes to the negative terminal on the switches, I think the ground is the same thing, because the car battery has a negative terminal and it is connected to the chassis, and that is the ground. So I only have to do that, and hopefully this will then work. Now what happened when I did connect the switch without the ground terminal, the passenger side switch made some noises as if the motor was working, but if I use the switch on the driver side, nothing would move. So sadly, I did not manage to make the passenger side switch move the window, but at least the driver side can move both of them. So at the moment I'll just leave it as is. What was the issue? It's not with the switch itself. I disconnected the driver side switch that controls the motor and just connected this one, and this one worked just fine. The issue that I have is connecting both of the switches and making them work as one, but individually. So what that means is when both of the switches are connected and connected correctly. Now admittedly this ground is not grounded. I did connect it to the ground on the driver side and also connected the up and down to the motor, which currently is connected like so. So this is the up and down for the driver side, and this is the plus. The plus is connected to the window switch on this one, but it doesn't do anything. Basically it's only connected so that this doesn't, well, fall off. And the issue that I had when all of this was connected is that the motor was making some noises, but mostly the wires got hot. Now I would say that this is an issue with the switch that was configured previously, because the switch itself had to have something extra that make all of this work, which this universal 5-pin switch cannot do. So finally I managed to do it. It looks jank, especially with this cable. This currently is connected to the ground on the driver side, because I don't have a connection on the passenger side. And what I had to do is this monstrosity. Basically I have two relays, and more importantly probably are the 4 diodes. Now just the diodes alone don't do the job, so you do also need the 2 relays. And basically how you wire them up is connect one signal to one side of the motor, so maybe window down. Both wires go to the window down via a diode, so left window through the diode to the window down, and the passenger side window down switch through the diode to this window down wire, and this will go to the motor, and the same thing for the window up. So now the passenger can control the window, and so can the driver, which previously was not possible. So I will also include how to wire this up with the universal switches, because it was a pain in the butt to find, and basically I did not find anything useful online, at least when it comes to wiring the driver side and also the passenger side window. And yeah, you guessed it, this is not safe. Ideally you will get the relays that are meant for cars. This is just for electronics. I did test it out and it works, so now I can just order those relays, and with safe connectors like this, so I can safely connect the wires with these. Though I will still need to use the diodes and isolate them so they don't short out. But basically that is how you can replace the broken switches with universal ones and still have the full control. And a job almost well done. I just need new relays. Now to make this into one whole video, so I don't have to split anything up, what you will need are some relays. Here I have a pack of 2. You can use the Amazon links that I will leave, or you can go on AliExpress. You will get them cheaper, but you will most likely also have to wait a lot longer to get them. The ones that I've used are 5 pins. Well, I will use, but this is how those look like. Also here you have the connection, how you have to connect them. And as you can see, the connections may look a little bit different on the actual relay than what I will show in the image. So you will need 2 of those. You get 2 of those and also the adapters. What is good about this one is that it has a metal clip on the top with a hole, so you can simply put a screw through and this will be grounded, which means that you can also connect this ground, so 86, to this hole on the top. And what you will also need are some diodes, which are these ones. So 1N5400, 3 amps and 1000 volts, which means that no amps and no voltage will be able to flow back, because the 2 switches that we want to be able to connect to one motor must not interfere with each other. And this is what these diodes will also prevent. Now these diodes are big, not really visible from these pictures. So the bottom line is how the diode has to be oriented, which will be indicated in my sketch. So this is how the sketch looks like. You have the battery, the minus is the same as the ground, because the minus of the battery is connected to the car chassis. So this everything is a ground. Then you have the positive, and this will be connected to the 2 relays, to 87A on both of them. This will also be connected to the 12 volts on the switches. So both of them will be connected to the plus. So we have the plus covered. And now we have the diode. So the diode, this marking, the top one, which has the line, this line is indicated by this one in the schematic. So that is how you have to orientate the diode to prevent any backflow. So in this case, the voltage can't flow in this direction. It can only flow in this direction. So this is good. And in this direction, it cannot flow. So we'll take a look at the schematic and see how the current will flow based on the up and down buttons that we push. Now each button is also connected to the ground being the chassis. So you have 2 grounds. You also have 2 grounds per relay. And if you have the relay with this metal hole, you can simply connect the grounds to this. Now why I want a 5-pin relay? It's because by default this one is connected to this pin, so it is constantly connected to the ground. So it's constantly grounded when you're not doing anything. And the same with this one. But when you send the signal will flow between pin 86 and 85. This is a coil. So the signal will go here, this will energize, and this switch that is inside here will flip from this position to this one. Now how this will happen, let's take a look. So 86 is connected to arrow up on this switch, which is the driver side switch, but it is also connected to up on the passenger side switch. So the up buttons have to be connected to one relay input, and the down buttons have to be connected to the other relay's 86 input. And now here is where the diodes come in. When I push up on the driver side switch, the current will flow through this diode because it can flow in this direction. So it flows here to here, but it also goes in this direction and it gets to this diode. But it cannot flow in this direction because, again, the diode is in the opposite direction, which prevents the flow from going down. So this is good. Otherwise, this would mess with this switch. And the same goes with this switch. If you push the button up, it will go to here, activate the relay, and it will not be able to go to this switch. And now what the relay does, we have not looked at the last pin, which is the motor. So this is the pin that you want to connect to one side of the motor, and the other side is connected to the other relay. So now when you press up on either switch, we'll have this white line. It will energize the motor and it will rotate in this direction because this will now be plus and minus. But when you press down, this relay will be active because it will energize in this way. So this will be now the plus, because this will activate and pull the switch down. So once this relay is active, this will be the plus and this will be the minus, and the motor will go in the opposite direction. So you have the up and down action. And just to make sure that this works correctly, if we take a look at the down buttons, if we press down, the current will flow down, go here, go to this relay. It will also go to here, but it will be stopped because it is preventing the current from going any further. The same goes with this button. It goes down, it goes up to the relay, but then it stops at this point because this diode is preventing the current to flowing to the switch. And lastly, for the switches, at least on Amazon US, they do have the same one that I've used, which is the dual one. Now the single one they do not have, but you can also buy something like this. You get 4 single ones. Now these ones also have 5 pins, as you can see. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below and I'll see if I can help you out. And we will do something else in the next video.